Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Metal Magdalene with Jet right here on Metal Messiah Radio. Tonight I have a special guest with me. I have Mem V Stein from Exumer back on the show. Welcome back to the show, Mem.
Hey, what's going on?
So, Mem, last we talked was 3 years ago when you released Fire and Damnation, and some of the band was in the States and some were in Germany. Is that how it still is?
Yep. Yep, nothing has changed with that. Tony and I still live here, and the rest of the other three guys are in Germany.
So, okay, so you guys, last time I talked to you, like I said, it was like 3 years ago, so what the hell have you been up to?
Well, we toured a lot. We played a lot all over the place, really. A lot of European dates. Went to South America like 3 times since then. Played in the States a few select shows, a couple in L.A., one in New York, and just been busy. And then, we had to write a new record. We didn't have to, but we wanted to write a new record, really. And so, yeah, it's been a busy 3 years, really.
So how has the touring been for you guys? No trouble or anything?
No, it's been really cool. I mean, at this stage of the game, we are like in the fortunate position where we can actually kind of pick what we want to do and we want to do it. And, we don't write records or release records to have to pay the rent. And it's the same with our shows. So as long as we can do X amount of dates to our terms, really, then we're happy, and we don't really have to. We don't have to play 300 shows a year, really. I mean, if we're happy if we can do 30 or 40, but then hit certain markets that are important for us, and really do what we like, and go to places either we haven't been to or to places that work really well for us. That want us back.
Yeah, well, that's cool, and not to have any trouble, all that traveling around, that's always a plus.
Yeah, no, I mean, it gets weird sometimes, if you go to a place where, you kind of clearly state what you need in your rider, and then you get there, and then it's like, oh, okay, we said, Best Western, a Holiday Inn standard for a hotel, and you're like in a complete shithole, really, and you're like, wow, how did that happen? But then it usually gets fixed really quickly.
That's good.
And so yeah, I mean, I no complaints.
That's good. Okay, so look, you guys been around like 30 freaking years, man. That's a long time.
Yeah, I know, right?
So how do you keep things fresh? I mean, you're still coming out with these new albums. I mean, where do you get like your energy and inspiration from still? I mean, part of, we're kind of fortunate enough, again, to be signed to a label that kind of leaves us alone. Basically, we don't have to abide by, certain standards, industry standards, or cycles, if you want to call them, where we have to release a record every 2 years. So when we think the time is right, that's when we start writing music, and we want to come up with like energetic, aggressive thrash metal, and you kind of have to be inspired to do so. And then it's kind of it's all about timing, really. And I think we create the situations for us, really. We're in charge of what we're going to do. So if we feel, the time is right to write music and we're inspired, then we do it. We definitely don't want to put out music that sounds forced or, contrived or anything like that. So again, we're fortunate enough that we have somewhat of a career and a name, and a label that gives us that freedom to do what we want to do. So apparently the time was right to release the next album.
Exactly. Well, we knew that it was about time. It was like we felt that we're like, okay, we're ready.
and you know when the fans are ready.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're like, we don't have to come out with a record every 2 years, but it's like Fire and Damnation came out in 2012. This one is coming out in 2016. That's 4 years, and we're like, okay.
It's time.
Yeah, it's time.
So,
but I think the result is pretty good. From what I can hear from people saying to me, and the first reactions from the press and the fans. So that makes us happy. So that means we did the right thing,
Absolutely. So let's talk a little about the new album, The Raging Tides. What's this album lyrically about? So
conceptually and lyrically, I was pretty much influenced by a lot of stuff I read on places like Africa, a lot of all those developments with the NSA, and so I basically said I'm going to write a record. I'm going to write all 10 songs are going to discuss some form of human suffering and misery caused and inflicted by other human beings for their own personal gains, whether they use, politics as a vehicle or religion as a vehicle. And that's what the album is about the ebb and flow of human suffering and misery and despair caused by other people so they can get ahead in life. And I've read a lot of Amnesty International reports. I listen to a lot of NPR. I just kind of try to stay informed about what's going on, and that kind of comes across in my lyrics. So you'll find songs like a song like Shadow Walker, which describes what happened in Paris a few months ago, and it kind of like discusses the thing about like young people leaving a very comfortable life and going to these places, whether it's in the Middle East or anywhere else for that matter, and fighting for a phony cause really, and or a false cause for that matter, or a twisted version of that, and to me, they already sign up. When they sign up for these things, they already kind of are dead, even though if they're alive. And even if they come back, they're psychologically or emotionally dead. So it kind of all comes. I discuss these type of things. Very happy.
So how does this album differ musically from Fire and Damnation?
Yeah, I think this is what we did on this one. We took all the things that we thought worked really well on Fire and Damnation, and then tried to improve on those things. Right. So we thought the sound was good on Fire and Damnation, but we wanted to improve the sound. But we had a good template for the sound. So we said it shouldn't be anything less than Fire and Damnation. How can we make these riffs and everything and the drums and the vocals pop even more? So we basically took all that and the last 7 years of really being a band again and dumped it all into this record. And I think you can hear some of that maturity and also like, a certain amount of sophistication of writing these songs and these riffs and the song structures themselves, are a little better than, more thought out than on Fire and Damnation. Just because, we're a working band again, really,
And so there's 12 tracks on the album. I mean, really, it's pure Exumer thrash when you listen to it. You have 2 cover songs as bonus tracks, and one's a Pentagram cover, and the other is from Grip Inc. Now, why did you go with these particular covers?
I can tell you. So the Pentagram thing was pretty easy because we kind of like our philosophy around doing covers is never cover something from your own genre. Kind of like we feel we can't cover Black Magic from Slayer or Bounded by Blood by Exodus and make it any better or put anything on the table that makes it interesting. They already did the perfect versions of those songs, right? So the Pentagram, I'm a huge Doom fan. Like, if you go on my Instagram, I mean, I'm also a big vinyl collector, but the most stuff I post is about, our Doom records. And I'm a huge Pentagram fan from back in the day. I mean, I'm old enough to know that band,
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't just start listening to that band with the documentary, is what I'm trying to say. And pretty much all of us, we love that band. So when it came to do a cover, we were like, why don't we do Pentagram? Because we all love Pentagram. And it was just kind of like, and Forever My Queen, pretty much like one of the best riffs ever written.
Mm-hmm.
So we said, let's put a twist on that song, and make it an Exumer, that make it sound like us,
Mm-hmm.
And see what we can do with it. The Grip Inc. song came about because Valdemar is our producer. He was in Grip Inc. with Dave Lombardo and Gus, and the three of them wrote some pretty kick-ass thrash metal. Over the last two records, we became really friendly with Waldemar and just kind of became friends. And then one day we were sitting around and we were just kind of kicking around ideas, what we can do, and we said, man, we really, really love fucking, A Hostage to Heaven. And Waldemar was like, yeah, hey, why don't you play it? And we're like, yeah, that's great. That's a great idea. And then we're like, wait a minute, why don't you play guitars on that? It's your song. And he's like, yeah, we can do that. And then Waldemar used to be in a band called Despair with Marcus, the drummer from Sodom.
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking about that with him, and he was like, do you think it would be possible to play drums? And I was like, yeah, you can play drums on that. And it just all fell into place. And then I started working on the lyrics and the vocals. And as I dissected the song, I was thinking, man, this song is so ideal for two vocalists,
Mm-hmm.
And, but I didn't know who to ask, really. I mean, they're the usual suspects, but then, I was like, I could ask Schmier or somebody, a friend of mine, whatever. And then Matthias was talking to Nick Barker, who was a good friend of his, also a drummer. He plays drums in Benediction, Dimo Borgia, and also he filled in Exodus. And him and Rob are good friends. And then Nick was saying to Matthias, he's like, hey, why don't you ask Rob? And we're like, wow, that'd be cool. And so I got in touch with Rob via social media, whatnot, and through Nick, basically. We talked on the phone, and I said, hey, this is what I would love to, to do this song with you. He was like, absolutely, sign me on. I was like, wow, I was like, okay, let's see. So I was like, oh, he really liked that idea, but then I didn't know if he was really going to go with it or not. So I sang the whole track, but then when it was time to send him the tracks, I said, this is where I would like you to sing, showed him, gave him the lyrics, and said, this could be your part of what you think, and it just all fell into place. So both songs came about really organically with any real, we didn't sit there on days on end and be like, oh, what could we do? And, oh, this is so hard. And, like, it was like more like a real nice process. And it turned out to be really nice from what, for us, as a band, as an experience. It's up to the fans, obviously, whether they like them or not. But we thought that those are two interesting cuts that are outside of our comfort zones and could offer and bring something to the table that's, a little unusual.
Well, I think they're great bonus tracks, and I loved the Pentagram cover, I have to say. It's like you said, it's something, it's something different, a little outside the box for you, but oh my God, it's great. It's just your stylings on it, and it was awesome. I'm like, oh no, here we go, a cover bonus track, do-do-do-do-do,
Right.
But then when you listen to it, it's good, and you didn't kill it. Sometimes you hear some of these bonus tracks and you're like, oh my God, how did they massacre that one? That's terrible, And that's usually what I go in expecting when I hear a cover track from a band. Right. But it's really good, and it's one of my favorite songs on the whole album.
Oh, that's great. I mean, You know, I mean, a bonus track, I think, you have the freedom of playing around with stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's because it's not your material if you decide to go with a cover.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, have fun with it, be, like, creative with it, and kind of give it your own twist.
Mm-hmm.
You do the best what you can. I mean, like, you can't, it's really hard to butcher that song, in my opinion. Because it's short, it has, like, the most kick-ass riff in it, you know? So I'm like, and I mean, obviously I can't sing like Bobby. I'm not trying to be like, you know. Right. I'll sing like, you know, I mean, I'll try to be as, you know, the most honorable thing to do here, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I you know, so I think, you know, if you choose the right track, if you pay a little bit of attention and you say, you know what would be a good thing to do, then people can easily come up with the right thing. Like I said, it should grow out of like an organic process rather than, I don't know, Metal Blade telling us, hey, you need to cover songs, you know, like these are going to be the bonus tracks. And we're like, what? So, yeah, I mean, we're not, that couldn't happen with us, but it's, you know, it's an example of what could happen.
Right.
For the wrong thing to.
Right. Well, this worked out really good, and they're great songs. And now you just last week the first single off the album came out, and so far, you know, what have reactions been to it that you've heard?
It's been crazy good. Like even more than I was like really surprised. I thought, you know, Fire and Damnation, first record after 25 years, we're coming back. People are going to go like, wow, you know, they either going to love it or they're going to hate it, but everybody's going to check it out. And this one, like, the amount of press that I've done already, and big press, you know, like, I don't know, Talk to Sweden Rock, two-page in Sweden Rock, and like, I'm like, whoa, what's going on? And I really didn't expect that, you know, I was like, I thought, oh yeah, you know, people are going to be like, oh cool, they got a new record out. They either heard of us or they haven't, and they're like, oh yeah, we got Fire and Damnation, or maybe they don't. But the reactions and the fans, the same thing, you know. People like I went on a message board to see, like, you know, I want to be in touch with the fans. I was looking at what people are writing, and they're like, yeah, this sounds very promising. And, like, you know, usually people on message boards are pretty conservative.
Right.
And it wasn't as conservative. They were, like, really positive. And I was like, wow, this is awesome, you know. It just kind of, like, caught me by surprise. But it was a very, very nice surprise.
And this release is on January 29th. Now, do you guys have a tour following up the release?
Actually, we're hitting Europe on January 28th. For two and a half weeks, we're going to be going to some places that we haven't played before, and it's actually worked out really well because it's going to give us an opportunity to play, like, we're going to play about 5 new tracks and figure out what works and what doesn't. So the timing couldn't have been better. I mean, we obviously kind of planned that. We planned to release around the tour and vice versa. So it just worked out really well. We were happy that Metal Blade was able to accommodate us with the release date. So we're all good things all around right so far. You know.
Okay, well, you know, Mem, thanks for taking the time off your, I don't know, I hope you're not on the road now.
I am on the road.
Oh, for crying out loud. Well, thanks for taking the time on your ride home to do this.
It's bitter. It's bitter. But, yeah, anything for metal, right?
That's true. And, you know, best of success to you in the new album, The Raging Tides, out January 29th on Metal Blade.
Thanks so much.
And now